We're going to have some fun with this, yes.
I did not say I wanted to be the special guest.
No, you didn't. But you are.
I think it's kind of weird to be the special guest. But
Why? I never got a chance to see Elvis. Never got a chance to see him at all. So how many years, from what I understand, how many folks remember Paul? You got to remember Paul, her late husband. Yes, we miss him very much. You and Paul, first of all, I got to say that it takes one, excuse my language, it takes one hell of a man to go with your wife or your girlfriend to go see an entertainer where the women are going, he's so beautiful. Oh, I can't believe it. There's not a lot of men that would put up with that. True? Some guys are very jealous and you ain't going to go see that guy. You're not going to go see him or Tom Jones or Engelbert. But Paul did, and he enjoyed it, and he was a big Elvis fan too. How many years did you guys chase Elvis around the countryside?
Well, it started in 1972. Now, our children were
If you can keep the chatter down a little bit.
real young then. So I missed him in Cincinnati and St. Louis in 71. But anyway, we're in bed one morning with the morning radio show coming on, talk show. They say, no, Elvis Presley will be in Indianapolis. Come in Indianapolis. And I'm not a morning person. But I flew out of bed and said, oh my God, did they say Elvis Presley's coming? So fortunately, back in those days, there was no Ticketmaster or Ticketron, so you had to go to a ticket outlet to buy your ticket. And Paul's business partner happened to know one of the owners. So they told us they'd get us our tickets for us. But
How much were the tickets back then?
they were like $10.50.
$10.50 to see the greatest entertainer on the face of the earth. Go ahead, Kay.
So it's like they announced it like 3 months ahead. I'm like going crazy because I don't have the tickets in my hand. You know, I'm going like, where's the tickets? Where's the tickets? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Anyway, we went and actually Paul said the first time we saw Elvis, Paul said he missed half of the show because he thought I was going to pass out. So he was that was sweet of him. He was more concerned about me. But
then he would have been able to give you mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and then you would have went to the
suppose.
room early. It would have all worked out fine. Don't worry. Okay, go
I
ahead.
suppose. But so that was the first time we saw him in Indy, and it was around the time of Madison Square. It was in April. But Elvis had the light blue. I just can't say. I mean, after intermission, when they came and reset the microphones from the first part of the show, and they set that center mic, and I thought, oh my God, he's going to be standing right there. And we had fairly good seats, 6th row, and it was great. But he came back to Indianapolis in '74, and by that time, he needed more seats, so they moved it to the convention center where there was more seating than at the Fairgrounds Coliseum. And we sat up by the corner of the stage in the loge seats. They were really good, but wasn't in front of the stage. So I decided, and I got all dressed up. I looked so cute, I have to tell you. I wore a little dress.
I've seen pictures. He's very...
Little scarf around my neck. I wore a little hat because, you know, I figured Elvis was going to see me. Even though there was 14,000 people there. But you never know. So I said to Paul, I said, I'm just going to go down and see if I can get in front of the stage. So you can be real strategic in a crowd like that. So I got down on my knees kind of, because obviously if you're standing up where everybody's sitting down, you're noticeable. So you kind of had to watch the security people, and when they were messing with somebody else, then you could kind of get around them. And so I ended up dead center stage. Wow. I was like thrilled to death. And I'm like just fixed on Elvis, and I'm so close, and I'm going nuts, and all of a sudden it's getting towards the end of the show, and all of a sudden more police officers came out, and I turned to look, and because it was at the convention center instead of in an arena, all the people from up in the side seats could get down to the floor.
How high was the stage? Was it higher than this?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, so you're not a real tall woman, so
Right.
when he was up to the stage and you were way down there, was you going like this? Hey, I'm down here. I'm down here.
No, not exactly.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So all of a sudden I turn around and find out that all these hundreds of people were coming down to the floor and trying to get up by the stage. So all of a sudden there's cop after cop after cop, and they're holding people back, and all of a sudden I'm going like, oh, this is not good. But at the same time, I'm right there where Elvis is, and so I'm still paying attention to Elvis. I'm reaching up for a scarf. I end up hanging on a police officer's arms because he had them out like this. My feet were not touching the floor. And I thought, I wonder if I could get under the stage when this crowd goes wild. And anyway, it was not good. But I was there, and I was close to Elvis, and I was still, show's over, Elvis has left the building. I would go back to where Paul's sitting in his seat.
See?
And I said, did you see me? I was right up there in front. Oh my God, I was right in front of Elvis. It was so great. And he just sat there and said, did you know you have a footprint on the back of your back? And I did. I had a whole footprint.
Somebody
it
tried
was
to
really
climb over you?
After I thought about it, I really got kind of scared. It was
Scary.
stupid, yeah.
Because everybody's pushing and shoving.
Oh,
Get out of my way.
yeah, yeah. But, you know, it was that was an Elvis concert back in the day.
How many times did you see him in Las Vegas? Tell me about your experience in Las Vegas.
Well,
was it the Hilton then? It was the Hilton then,
It was
right?
the Hilton.
The Hilton, okay.
We used to go to Vegas a lot in the 70s because they practically paid you to go. But for whatever reason, we never went when Elvis was there. And I finally put my foot down and said, okay, you like to gamble, I don't. Next time we go to Vegas, we are only going if Elvis Presley's there. So Elvis he had to cancel some shows, and we went in 75 and where he was making them up, and it was fabulous. We stayed at the Hilton, and we had met some folks who had gone to Las Vegas lots of times. One time when we were at the airport waiting for Elvis to come in, and this girl shows me this picture of Elvis in the dressing room in Las Vegas, and I'm like flipping out, and I'm like, how did you get this picture of Elvis?
How did that happen?
Anyway, so she said, well, if you're going to Vegas, in case you don't go to a show one night, over on the left side of the bar, there's a door that's solid, but it has one of those skinny little windows in it. And if you stand there about the time of intermission, that's where the freight elevator is, and Elvis has to walk down that hallway to get backstage. And you can see him. So we knew that. So I'm waiting in line for 3 days. But Paul was gambling, and all of a sudden it was time to go in, so I went in, I got our seats, and first part of the show's over, and still no pulse. I'm thinking like, oh, well, maybe he's winning, and we can stay an extra day, or two, maybe.
He's winning. The heck with the wife. I'm making some cash.
Yeah. So anyway, right before the music starts, he comes scooting into his seat. I said, where in the world have you been? I thought you were going to miss Elvis. And he said, I just saw Elvis. And I said, what? He said, well, you know that hallway that Hyla told us about? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, before I came over, I kind of had to go to the bathroom. So I thought, I bet there's a bathroom down there. So he went through the door and went to the bathroom. And when he went to come out, the security guard said, oh, you can't come out now. And he said, okay. And then in typical Paul fashion, he went ahead and come out. And,
in the bathroom?
Well, yeah.
He'd be like, let me out of here.
No.
Let me out of here.
So, but he just stood there next to the guard. All of a sudden, the elevator doors open. Here comes all of Elvis's guys. Elvis is on a luggage cart. And they're pushing him, and they're laughing, and they're carrying on, and he's getting all hopped up for the show. And it was, and I'm going like, I can't believe it. You did that without me? And he said, well, think of it this way, Kay. If you'd have been with us, we'd have got kicked out for sure. So I said, okay. So that was a good time.
So, did you have any experience with him off stage at the airport, or tell me about that? You told me some stories about that.
Well, here's the thing about being an Elvis fan when Elvis was around. I always compare it to a disease that gets progressively worse. Because at first you only want a ticket, but then you want a ticket that's up front. And then after you do that, then you want to get a scarf.
It's a good disease. You just jump right in there.
And then, of course, you want to get a kiss. And then you think like, well, I wonder when he's coming into town. Maybe we could see him at the airport, or maybe we could catch him at the hotel or whatever. So we kind of started doing that. And
did you chase him to the airport? You told me you rode down the street one time with your friends.
Yeah, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We left the show early, and I said, we'll follow him back to the airport. And so we were right behind. They always had, Elvis was in his car, and it really was Elvis has left the building. They took off really fast after the show. But there was a follow-up car. So we're following him, and they'd come to an intersection, and Elvis's car would go through, and the backup car would like block the intersection so nobody could. And at the second stop, Paul like cut off the backup car. And I said, Paul, I think that was Elvis's guys that you just cut in front of. And he said, oh, really? So we got to the next intersection, and Paul pulled up and stopped, and he waves the backup car on. So we made it to the airport. So we're right behind him, and we drove right out on the tarmac. And we're standing there. Right by
you really
the
wanted
airplane.
to meet him, right? You were trying to meet him.
Oh,
hoping
yeah,
to get out
yeah.
of
That would have been the ultimate thing. So we're standing there on the tarmacs, and all the crew's there. Elvis, of course, went right up into the plane and went to the back and didn't see Elvis anymore. But the stewardess was talking to us and stuff, and it was kind of funny because before we left, Paul said, aren't you going to touch the plane? And I said, oh, that's so silly. Why would I do that? And then I stood there.
Yeah, you wanted to get on the plane.
Yeah,
with him.
Yeah. But then I thought, like, oh, he might be right. So I like, okay, I touched Elvis's plane.
Was the plane the Lisa Marie, or was
At
it different
at that time, it was 76.
Marie,
It
okay.
was the Lisa Marie. And when we saw him come in, Paul said, look at Elvis sneaking into town. He's coming in at night. The plane touches down. The tail light goes on with the big TCB on the tail. And he's going yeah, he's really sneaking into town in this big airplane with the light, in blue. And so that was fun. That was fun,
So,
too.
I know you've been to see him many times. What was, of course, you're probably going to see all of them, but what was your favorite songs that you had to have a couple favorites that you liked to hear him sing? Was it the ballads, the big ones, the soft ones? What were some of your favorites?
I know the first time I did Trying to Get to You, and that was kind of unusual. It wasn't usually in the set, and that was a real rocker. But I love like Bridge Over Troubled Water and anything. I can't say what was my favorite. They were all fabulous.
Tell me about I never got a chance to see him. And that 2001 Space Odyssey, I saw the movie when I was a kid. But then I guess later on, Elvis Presley, they used that for Elvis to come out on stage with. And that was a brainstorm. It's great, huh? And there's no entertainer in the world that could come out to that. And there are some fantastic Elvis tribute artists that do come out and get a good response. But there'll never be, I don't think, I've never seen him, but tell me about the feeling when the lights went down and the 2001 Space Odyssey started. Tell me the excitement of just knowing that he's going to walk out on the stage.
I don't even know if it's describable because the electricity in the arena was just like there was some kind of storm going on with lightning bolts all around you or something, and it was just
flash bulbs.
Magnetic. Oh yeah, the minute Elvis stepped on the back corner of the stage,
flash bulbs.
And he always kind of went across the stage and came back and did his little high sign, and I don't know. It was just breathtaking. But later on, after he left, or after he passed, I thought, these other performers, and now of course there's lights and there's smoke and there's and excitement is created at concerts. But Elvis walked out on the stage with a gospel group and the Sweet Inspirations and a fabulous rhythm
No fancy
section.
lights. The Las Vegas way back then.
No fancy lights, nothing, and created the same kind of excitement and electricity. It's just beyond words. It was just like.
Yeah, the entertainers today, there's a lot of great entertainers that perform out in Las Vegas and do concerts, but their show is kind of masked with dancers and fancy lights and laser shows and videos. Elvis was that good that he didn't need all that stuff. The entertainers back then, they didn't need that. Don't you agree, folks?
Yeah.
That was sheer talent, it really was.
Yeah, he just came out and stood there and sang, spotlight on him, and that was it. But it was
I can see
electrifying.
you saw that mic there with the mic stand. I'm surprised you didn't get so excited and say, hey, get that mic and that mic stand out of the way so I can see him.
No.
Okay, tell me about, this is the biggest one, right?
I heard you got a smooch from Elvis, a kiss.
I did. I've told this a million times. Probably most everybody in here has heard it. But the very first time I got a front row seat, and I got up to, I took to taking Elvis a gift because I'm kind of short, and so I never got those flip scarves. But, so I'd give him something, and he'd have to give you a scarf. And, well, I guess he didn't have to, but he would. And I took this little gift, and this was in Bloomington, and he took it, and he said, that's real nice. Did you make it yourself? And all of a sudden, he's looking at me, I'm looking at him. I could not open my mouth and say a word. I just stood there like, and Elvis got kind of tickled, and he kind of, did that little crooked grin of his, and he said, well, is there anything else you wanted while I'm over this way? Because he did give me a scarf, and I still couldn't say anything. I just still stood there doing nothing. So I used to practice saying out loud, Elvis, I want a kiss. Elvis, could I have a kiss too? So that maybe it would come out. And as luck would have it, in '76, we had waited in line to get tickets in Fort Wayne. We went into the show, and our 2 seats were the front row, the 2 seats blocking the center aisle. So that was like really cool. And then the stage was so low that I could put my elbows on it. And now I'm sitting there going like, oh my gosh, this is really going to be cool. And he came out, and I had another little gift I gave him, and he took it, and he gave me a scarf, and I said, Elvis, can I have a kiss too? And he gave me that little grin and wink, and I had my arms up on the stage, and the scarf was hanging down, and some girl came and ripped it off and took off with it.
That thief.
And all of a sudden, Elvis is turning and walking away from me, and I'm going like, what's up with this? He kind of indicated he was going to give me a kiss, and, what's up? Well, he went back to Charlie and got another scarf. He saw that girl take the scarf, and he went and got another scarf and brought it back and gave it to me, and I got a kiss. And I thought, first of all, I was amazed that he even saw it, but that shows just a teeny bit of how much Elvis cared for his fans and loved his fans.
How many scarves did you get?
7.
7? How many folks, I know Marie's got one.
Yeah.
How many folks out there ever saw Elvis Presley, first of all? Okay, how many were lucky? Well, you're lucky just to have seen him on to get a chance. How many folks actually get a scarf? Anybody? Marie, the lady back there, got one? Just a couple.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a
Is that
set.
it? Have you got it on? All right.
Do you really? Wow. Oh, that's Elvis Prince's scarf. That's okay. That's all right. But the big ones are like bed sheets. They're like this big. They're big and square, right? The original.
Yes, they're big. And Charlie Hodge one time showed me how to, at one of our first conventions that we worked with him, he showed me how to fold them.
Well, I love these stories. I got one more question before we leave. It's almost time. We've got about 5 minutes till we get the contest on. I just got one question for you. The night that you got the kiss from Elvis, did Paul get lucky that night?
No, because we had to drive home.
He was too drunk. He's out there gambling. Show me the money, baby.
I do remember sitting back down and my face was totally wet because of his perspiration, and I'm sitting there going like, I got all this Elvis sweat on my face. What should I do with it? And then I thought, oh, you have the scarf, dummy.
Okay. That was beautiful.
That
I
was
love your
great.
stories, Kay.
There was nobody like him, and there'll never be anybody else like him.
Yeah, you've seen some other great entertainers, but he
Yeah, I
was.
have.
You've seen Tom Jones. You've seen Michael Jackson. There's some fantastic entertainers that have earned their due in the history books as great entertainers, but there'll never be another Elvis, right, folks? Right, Kay? Let's hear it for Kay. Beautiful job, baby.
Thank you, guys.
She did a great job. We'll be starting here in just a few minutes, okay?